I don't know, that before I come in here, there's always people come up and ask a few questions, and someone asked a question on consciousness, and some other people asked a question on different states of being. And of course here we don't want to make it sort of too theoretical, because we want to put these teachings into real life. So I'm going to see if I can weave a talk about nature of consciousness and the colours of consciousness, which are called emotions, and just how they can lead to rebirth in different planes of existence. The whole lot going basically on the nature of consciousness itself. To get those beautiful emotions, how to colour consciousness in a beautiful way. And the different realms of existence, this is what makes the different realms. Because consciousness goes to its place. It fits into certain places. Those negative consciousnesses of anger, always go into hellish realms. The beautiful consciousness of love go into heavenly realms. Of fear, of gluttony, goes to the realms of the hungry ghosts. Now love goes into the Brahma heavens. You can see just each little consciousness goes into a different place. I don't know if I told it. Somebody asked me to tell this story a week or two ago. Maybe I can. Nice place to put this in now. You know the beautiful story of the samurai who went to ask the monk whether there's heaven or hell? Do you believe in heaven or hell? An afterlife, going to hell or going up to heaven? And this samurai many years ago came up to this monk and said, "Monk, I know that you won't lie. You're very, very wise. You got all these precepts you keep, and one of them is you're always going to be honest. So I'm going to ask you straight. Now, I want to answer me straight. Is there heaven or is there hell?" And other people, they may say these things. I can't believe them, but maybe you I might believe. Is there heaven or hell? And this monk said, "Look, you're too stupid to even understand the meaning of those words." And calling a samurai are very proud and noble warriors, calling them stupid is the wrong thing to say. So this samurai got very upset and offended. He said, "Look, you shouldn't talk to a noble samurai like me." And the monk looked at him and said, You're probably just a peasant farmer. Now, you can't think yourself as a samurai. That's a noble profession. People like you can't become samurais." And that was an insult. And so this samurai said, "See this sword here?" And he started pulling it out of his sheath. "This is so sharp. Just with a quick swish, I could cut off your head." And the monk said, "You couldn't even cut butter with that rusty old blade." And that was it. The samurai got out his sword, was about to cut off the monk's head. And the monk said, "Now that's hell." And the samurai understood. The anger inside of him, just the feeling insulted, he realized that's what hell feels like. And he realized that was a trick of the monk to teach him what the real meaning of hell is. Not in words, but an experience. That's an experience of hell. Every time you get angry at someone, you are in hell. That's what it feels like. And so this samurai realized he'd actually found a real monk at last, someone who could really teach him, not just all this jargon and mumbo-jumbo, but teach him through experience. And so he was so grateful. He put away his sword, he started bowing at this monk's feet and said, "Oh, thank goodness at last I met a wise person. Now I understand what hell is." Then the monk smiled at him and said, "Now you're in heaven." And that's what actually heaven and hell mean. That's the conscious states. If a person died when they're angry, you probably go down to a hell realm, because that's where you belong. If you're greedy, you go to the realms of the hungry ghosts, because that's where your consciousness belongs. If you die when you have love in your heart, you go to the heaven realm, because that's where your consciousness belongs. If you have peace in your heart, you go to the peaceful realms, because that's where your consciousness belongs. So all these different realms of existence in Buddhism, all suited for the different types of consciousness which you can have, the different levels of consciousness. And that's how you get reborn in those places. You go to where you belong. I sometimes wondered that when I was young in London, Because sometimes, before I was a monk, I'd go out with my friends. Sometimes you go out to a pub. I'd always tend to go to the quiet pubs. Sometimes people go to these pubs and there'd always be a fight every night. People go and get drunk, they'd always have sort of a fight. And I wonder, why on earth do people go to such places? They go to such places because they want to, because they like fighting. Different types of consciousnesses go to different places. This evening, a lot of people have gone to Northbridge for a fight. But your consciousness have come to the Buddhist Centre in Nollamara for some Dhamma, you see, so you're already very close to heaven. So you see, different consciousnesses go to different places. And it's the same as after death. Once you know what that consciousness is, you can actually see that the mind consciousness, different than the other 5 consciousnesses, is not dependent upon your body. So seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching is dependent on the body. Mind consciousness is independent. That's why when your body dies, your mind consciousness is still there afterwards. Once you see that in your meditation, you know what rebirth is as a fact. The 6 types of consciousnesses, because the West lost its common sense, lost its mind, its 6th sense, that's why they stopped believing in reincarnation or rebirth. Once you understand what the mind is, you include that 6th sense, then you know what rebirth is. And you know how rebirth in different realms of existence. You know what consciousness is, and you also know how you colour consciousness with your wisdom. Know the results of kindness, inspiration. That's good, cultivate it. That's happiness, that's beauty, cultivate it. So the negativity, fault-finding, anger, sort of being mean, being selfish, you know what that hurts. So find its causes and do away with those causes. So you become a person with a beautiful consciousness. And then you know what heaven is, you know what hell is. So that is my talk this evening on consciousness and everything else. So that's just again off the cuff once again. So any questions about the talk this evening? Any questions? Comments? Going, gone.